It's the Robertson stash. It's gonna be motherfucking bad.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Cool.
Welcome, Robertson Stash.
When you coming out with your next album?
I'm relying on my son Elias, who's 8 now, picking the banjo.
Yeah, he's playing?
Yeah, he's played 5 years now.
No shit, he must be good.
He's pretty good.
So you guys jam together?
We jam. He's the only guy I jam with now. And
Oh, nice.
I think in a couple of years we might be able to make an album.
Hell yeah.
Right now we're going to farmers markets and busking. And
No way. So you guys play together in front of people?
yeah.
Oh, that's
last
sick.
year he could clear like $50 an hour
No way.
at the farmers market.
8 years old?
8 years old. But then we went. That was the first week we went. We went again, and we had like a slow hour where we made like $10, and he was like, "What the fuck? This is not worth it." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Like you made $10 an hour."
You're out there practicing though, right? Like,
Yeah,
but that's pretty good.
he got spoiled quick.
Yeah. I get
$50
that.
an hour.
Yeah, it's $50
I never
an hour.
made that busking. That's
Awesome. So that's in Arkansas at the farmers market?
Yep, in Fayetteville. That's where we're living. We moved from
Sick. Yeah, you
Northern
were
California.
Yeah, we were hanging out in Humboldt last time we got our work session on. That was awesome, dude.
Yeah,
That was like 10 years ago, I guess. Probably close to.
great.
How are you, like,
2016,
was it?
2017?
17?
Probably 17.
Okay.
Yeah.
Almost 10 years then.
Yeah.
Hard to tell time with like the whole COVID and everything, but about 10
I related
years
to
ago.
like when I started making lamps,
Okay.
which was not 10 years yet.
Oh,
so
really?
I know that wasn't 10 years ago.
So those were some of the first ones, or
Those
not
were
really?
like a first run of collabs, like
Oh,
that.
yeah?
Some of them for sure. And
Yeah, they were sick, dude. They
was
really
pretty
came
early
out
on.
clean. They were giant lamps. Still epic. Still hold up to this day.
yeah, they got home still.
And
And
they were banger hangers, right? Yeah. So it was before males, 10 mils, yeah. Or no, it was after 10 mils.
yeah, we had male joints.
Yeah, we had male joints. That's right.
Big
So how are you liking
big ups to Quave?
That's right. How are you liking the transition?
Arkansas, it took me a while to get used to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, moving from Northern California where you're on the ocean in the redwoods,
Yeah.
surrounded by pot growers.
Uh-huh.
And all my homies were the best hash makers in the world. And moving to Arkansas, where I didn't know anybody, banjo's up the road, and there's the people.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I used to have friends all around. So I think the biggest thing was losing all my family and friends, and now
So how far away is Banjo's
it's about
place?
45 minutes up the
Okay.
road.
That's not too bad.
We were at his place the other day, picking and grinning.
Nice.
Yeah, he keeps it lively at his place.
You guys had a nice little community up in Humboldt too. Like the Long Shop was there, and there's a few other glassblowers. Mr.
Banjo
Gray was,
used to be there.
Yeah,
That's
Banjo
where I
was
met him.
down the street. Yeah,
Yeah,
That's
he
dope.
landed me in Humboldt at this like epic spot to live on the ocean. So I moved to Humboldt,
yeah.
and then he kind of like pretty much convinced me to move to Arkansas, which is I'm stoked on it now. It took a minute, but you start to realize what roads to take and which not to take, and
Oh yeah.
you're surprised how developed a lot of that shit is. I thought we were moving to the country, and it's kind of like way more developed and
Is it?
happening than Humboldt was. Humboldt
Really?
is country as fuck. Yeah.
So what's it like? Like, what do you got there? You said you got about 13 acres, and
Yeah. Now I work
it-
at home. So I went from having a big studio with a quartz shop, and Mr. Gray was sharing space, and we had like 8 glass blowers there at a time to just working solo,
Yeah.
which has been, I mean, first of all, I don't have to like, there was a lot of responsibilities that I was like the shop bitch, shop dad,
Shop dad,
whatever
yeah.
you call it.
yeah,
And I kind of got old, just being the only one to care about if the fucking toilet's clean, shit, but.
yeah.
It was a good time working with all those people, but moving to Arkansas and, I work from home now on a farm,
Yeah.
I see my kids in the morning. I could just stop working, see them, pack their lunches. But just the work from home alone took a while to get used to, because you're used to be on the bullshit and throw ideas off of people. And if you're having a bad day, someone's going to make you feel better, usually.
Siri, dude, ChatGTP, no.
Yeah.
Have you-
I've been hearing a lot about this.
I mean, it's
Siri
like
doesn't
it's
really
like a
do it for
person
me.
in your. No, Siri is not as advanced as ChatGTP, but you could ask ChatGPT, like, "What do you think of this piece?" Well, I think it's this and that. Like,
Probably usually positive, hopefully.
probably, yeah. It starts to learn you. So if you want positive, it's going to give you positive.
And that's what usually you get with shop mates. No one's usually going to be like, oh, that looks kind of stupid. People are generally going to just confirm that what you're doing is okay, and you just get rid of that thought of like,
Are you finding any like benefits to being in a solo shop?
oh yeah,
Like
well,
creatively?
I am the only one using the oxygen tank, so it like should last me
There's
a
one
month and a half,
Hell
you
yeah.
know, and just less responsibility gives me more time to think about the glass, you know, and I miss the bullshitting with people, but also it's like solitude and being an artist. I think it's pretty. I've learned it's important.
It is
You know,
important.
time to just spend time to fuck around without feeling self-conscious of what people are looking at. And I think that's been good. I've been trying all these different techniques that I never really wanted
outside
to bite off.
influence to like change what you're thinking.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes
Influence it.
that positive reinforcement's amazing, but like sometimes like the struggle
Yeah.
and like persevering by yourself, it's like we're on a soul, we're all here. We all got to walk that lonesome valley alone, really, at the end, So.
Yeah. I guess you can really like see what you truly want to make that way too. Like by getting discipline and getting into your sketchbook and no outside influence,
Mm-hmm.
Creatively, I think that's good.
Yeah. Just being alone, there's a lot too, It's like you should go out into the woods and be alone, meditate sometimes. And in the shop, being alone, it's just like there's no distraction other than whatever you provide with your phone and stuff,
Yeah.
But, overall, the main thing is just like the complete focus and solitude seems to, I went through like a long rough patch where like I like was kind of like miserable alone. A solid year, I think I was like depressed,
Yeah.
I like even like reached out to some therapists and
That's good.
they don't fucking know how to help with an artist though,
They don't?
Not really, like they don't know what it's like to like struggle with like a creative craft and have to like support yourself doing it, and like even if it's selling, like the feelings we go through like of like just needing to, what was I saying?
Create or
Yeah, the creative process is like a struggle sometimes, and like most therapists aren't like artists,
No.
They don't really know how to create. So like you get back more therapy going up to banjos and fucking unloading on him. He's been through it.
Absolutely. Somebody knows it.
So being alone, you just gotta realize sometimes you gotta coming out here, work with fucking with the Ever Dream crew, and
That's
coming
it.
out and hanging out with you. It's like this is therapy for me when you need it,
So how'd you get over that like first year of solitude? What kind of stuff are you doing? Talking to therapy? That's always good. I talk to therapy sometimes.
Yeah, I definitely had some people to talk to. Started taking care of myself better and exercising. We went to the gym this year.
Oh yeah, that was great.
I don't know, are you 40 yet?
I'm 40, just turned 40, so that's why I started wanting to.
Shit hits different when you're 40.
Totally.
And you start.
You're not as
looking at that
invincible as you
future.
thought you were.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, like once you're 60, like you're entering this realm of like a lot of shit can happen to you. So it's like, take care of yourself. And we got kids, and being present for our kids is, I think, working from home and being with my kids is like the greatest thing. Coming to the studio and hang with me while I'm working, and I could stop work. They're the best distraction I could ask for. Before my distraction was Kai Beck talking about fucking George Soros and the fucking
Conspiracies, all
shit.
that.
Yeah, that's just dope. I love it. But like, I don't think about any of that shit. And it's just like, oh, we got fucking kids.
Yeah, you don't get that time back. It's happening right now, and it's like my favorite thing to do is spend time with my kids, dude. So I guess having them near your house or near your studio and studio from home, that would be nice.
This time goes quick. You're never going to hear someone say they spent too much time with their kids.
No. I was actually flying on a plane and I was sitting beside this investor, and everyone was shaking his hand because he invested he started a trust or something for this like university, and everyone was shaking his hand. I'm like, what do you do? And he's like, oh, I made all my money, but one thing I do regret is not spending the time with my children. And he was like sad about it, dude. I was sitting beside him on the plane, so it really hit home for me.
Yeah. Yeah, and like that's, we were talking about it earlier about, things. We were so busy. I had a back order for like years and stressed out about work all the time. I was working 12-hour days for fucking years, for like pretty much like since I started blowing glass.
Yeah.
I've been in the studio like 12 hours for like 15 years.
Wow.
50, 60-hour weeks, easy, and then the glass market, getting a little tighter and like not being backed up for 2 years. I like have so much more time now to like, the first thing was like, what's worth stuff, and like your health is like big,
That's up there. Yeah.
and like time with your kids is big, and I play more music than I used to, I'm like,
Awesome.
I want to be good at these things I love, you know.
And you were saying you like do some like farming, or like you got some goats on your property and you're growing some stuff?
Yeah. So when we moved to Arkansas, the goal was like to start a little farm and be self-sufficient.
Yeah.
You know, my wife was definitely the spearhead of that movement, you know.
Sick.
So pretty much we have like 13 acres. But you only need like 2 acres to have a nice little farm with some animals. Like that's what I learned. You don't need 13 acres. I'm just
What's going on in the rest of the acreage?
a lot of mowing.
Mowing? Oh,
I got a lot of mowing. We got a little pond, and then you let some just grow and go. But then there's the woods, you know.
cool.
It's pretty amazing spread. That's why we ended up actually buying that and landing in
so do you have
Arkansas.
part of it fenced off for animals, or the whole 13 acres?
We got like
is
2
fenced?
acres.
Okay,
fenced,
2 acres, yeah.
and we bought like 5 sheep last year, and this year they all had babies. So now we have like 20
way.
sheep, like 15 sheep.
What do you do with them? Wool?
No,
Or-
they kind of eat the grass.
Oh, eat the grass.
So I don't have to mow.
Oh, nice.
And then, you know, it's livestock. So it's like
Sheep meat?
the idea, if you're into lamb, we eat some lamb, but no,
Okay.
most people, my family doesn't eat that much lamb. I make kebabs and shit. Like
Yeah.
it's a Middle Eastern food, but lamb's got a strong flavor. It's not the most
I like
popular.
lamb shanks. Is that
Yeah, like
those
lamb
little-
chops.
lamb chops? Yeah.
Yeah, so there's like certain cuts.
Yeah.
Those are prime.
Those are
but
good.
like
Yeah.
a big lamb steak. Do you ever really eat a lamb
I've
steak?
never heard of that. And that is a lamb a sheep?
Mm-hmm.
So when you eat it, you
Well,
talk.
sheep's a lamb's kind of lamb meat is sheep.
Okay, but you don't. You don't really hear like all of a sheep meat, like sheep steak. It's more like lamb shank.
Yeah, you want that
Sheep
lamb chops. That's
Lamb
like
chops.
prime cuts of it, and then they'll grind the rest of it. A lamb leg could be pretty desirable, you know, if you know how to cook it.
Yeah, or maybe a shank, right? And it's on the bone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's some good shit.
So you don't use the wool?
Nah, we have lambs that actually shed,
Oh.
so you don't have to shear them.
Okay.
You know, but it was cool. Like last year and the year before, it was all investing and building, and I built chicken
Learning, I'm
coop.
sure.
And, like I didn't know how to build anything when I got there, and before I knew it, I'm like building like a barn. You know,
So you got
all these-
chickens as well?
Yeah, we got the chickens. We got a couple goats, the dogs, and we had a couple pigs. We harvested the pigs.
Oh,
and
nice.
Slaughtered them, you know. And
Wow. Do you do that yourself?
I brought them to the butcher.
Okay.
Problem with that, you grow a pig and you think you're like going to save money, but then the butcher hits you with like it was like $300 for it. It was like $1 a pound just to process it, you know.
Was there any like emotional stress when you were doing that too? Like
Our
you
pigs
grow
were
to love
really
this?
obnoxious.
Oh, okay. So you
It
couldn't
was
wait.
like kind of a festive moment.
you
for
little
me,
fucker.
dude.
You call him Jimmy Dean or something?
They were just like it was like bacon and ribs or whatever the name was. Yeah, my daughter named them and she cared about them, but yeah,
Yeah. But she called him bacon?
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. She had names for them. But. So yeah, the farming thing, you know, being self-sufficient, that was like a big goal for me and my family, you know.
What do you got the goats for? Eating grass or?
Yeah, it comes back to like you get them, and every year they have babies, and you kind of grow your herd. And right now we're just kind of growing the herd.
Oh, okay.
And then you kind of sell the males babies as they come, and then once in a while you buy a new male to
Not
get a
inbred.
new. Yeah, you don't want to get them too inbred, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, growing the herd, and eventually, you know, next year, if all the babies that we had this year have 2 babies each, we're going to be at like 40 sheep or 30 sheep or something.
Holy
So
shit.
you start to feel like little Bo Peep. You know, it's come my heritage to shepherd people, you know. So like when you're out there with them, it's like it's this thing I never expected, like talking to the sheep. Like
Yeah.
I'll just be out there like talking to the fucking sheep, and there's like like, but it's like for me, it's like I guess I don't have people around. It comes back to being alone. Now I'm talking sheep. But they're cool.
Wow.
Like, you know, it beats like some shit people say, you know.
At least when they start talking back, then you gotta probably go talk to a therapist.
Yeah.
So, have you seen the goats that like they get startled and then they freeze up and they like get paralyzed? Do your goats ever do that?
I know doing that.
No.
Man, you're the goat man too. You should have a little farm.
I'd love to. I'm not allowed to right now,
It's
but
hard on the mountains.
there's a few people that have llamas that walk around the city around here. So I guess you can probably need a little bit of property. I don't really have it right now.
Yeah, the exotics.
So what's a normal day look like for you? You get up
5 in the morning.
5 a.m.
Get up, do a little exercise.
Exercise.
30 minutes with my wife usually. With the little Pilates or the yoga or some weight stuff.
Nice.
You know,
every day,
5
mostly
days a week, man.
Oh,
Yeah. When
that's
things
awesome,
are
dude.
when you're on a roll, you know, if 20 minutes is easy, 30 minutes, it's like hard to get harder, but
Yeah.
you're amazed by like what that could do.
Oh,
and
no.
like that in
So
conjunction with
beneficial.
like property maintenance is like my exercise, you know. But yeah, get that done, and the kids and the breakfast, and
And they go
I
off
guess
to
no one eats
school?
breakfast, but
Your
they go to
kids both go to
school.
school,
Then
yeah.
I'm home and I'm working, and you know, some days I don't feel like working. I'll just do farm stuff, you know. But
Yeah.
you know, like working from home has just been like my commute. It's really cool, you know. I just walk 20 feet and I'm working. You know?
That's nice.
So, but not having to do that, but yeah, you know, now I'm like 8-hour day, 10-hour day. Sometimes it drags on, but it's been pretty like I'm more in like a kind of like almost like a 9 to 5 kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
And that's
Get
what fit-
home, make dinner.
I'm there when the kids get home. There when they leave.
Do you
know?
cook, or do you guys cook together?
My wife probably tell me I should cook more. You know.
Yeah.
I'm probably the better cook. Probably don't edit that out, you know. But you know,
I'd say.
I hold up. I keep up. You know, this year she started working, and I've been spending more time folding laundry and doing like house stuff. You know,
Yeah.
before it was like I was just in the shop 12 hours a day. I never thought about any of that. So now the dynamics changing a little. You know,
Nice.
it's okay. I mean, I'd honestly rather fold laundry than
Be in front of a torch.
yeah for 2 hours. But yeah, you know, typical day. I don't leave the house much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just like
Do you got to go out and get like supplies around you? Is there convenience stores or grocery stores close by?
there's the gas station that has a mean burger. You know, but like Fayetteville's 15 minutes down the road. So
Has all your
we're on the
amenities?
cusp of like country and town. You get into Fayetteville and you
That's
got
not too
Whole
bad.
Foods and everything. You know,
Oh, nice.
so you got cheap, inorganic department food
Okay.
stores. You got Walmart in every corner.
Probably got more than we had here.
Yeah,
Pretty
it's nice
small
here.
town. Small town though.
You guys don't have a very corporate vibe. You don't feel, you know, there's a feeling that I get like driving through every town in America that they're all the same.
Yeah.
They got the same goddamn fast food places and the same fucking
Exactly.
looking shit. And
Yeah.
it's so streamlined now. And like, so you drive through Evergreen, it's like refreshing. It kind of reminds me of Humboldt. Like, Humboldt had a ban on a lot, at least
Yeah,
part of
like-
it had a ban on,
They encourage like mom and pop shops, no big corporations.
yeah, no franchises, you
Yeah.
know? And so,
Yeah, I
it was just
remember
like-
that.
It was just like a different feel, you know? When there's franchises, they develop everywhere and they put strip malls of fucking fast food places. And
Yeah.
so
Oh,
over here, it's
God.
like kind of where we're at in Arkansas, it's like very nice and spacious, but you get into town and it's nice to have the amenities, but like it's a little kind of, it's crazier than I expected it to be. So I don't leave the house much. I'll pick the kids up from school, you know?
Nice.
So having to work from home, you know, and
That's nice.
it's just always there. It's like, but I don't like abuse it, but like, it's like sometimes
Yeah, if
You
you
get-
can have
you
some
have a
boundaries
flexible
from it,
schedule.
and you're
Summer.
not always working, and like that's nice, dude. How can you beat that commute? Like a lot of people spend a lot of time commuting places.
Yeah.
and we add that up, that's like years of your life in the long run. So
I know.
I think that's great.
You know, and like a lot of glass blowers have gotten jobs these last couple of years, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I've thought about like what else could I do if I wasn't blowing glass? I'm a 20-year glass veteran, scientific skills, you know, and
Well, yeah. How did you get into glass in the first place? Did you
well, it started with pipes, like you know,
Okay.
going to fish shows.
20 years ago?
20 years, like probably 99. I bought my first like fume pipe on a fish lot, you know,
Okay.
at the Spectrum, and like didn't even know it was gonna fill. You know, filled in. We were like surprised, you know, oh, this is crazy, you
neat,
know.
yeah.
But like, you know, started with the pipes we were buying on those lots, and you know, there were head shops. We'd buy some pipes. I guess we might have had some cool little pipes before that, but you know, it's getting into weed smoking and getting into glass with pipes.
Through a lot.
So that was like you were bonding over your pipe, and like you were geeking out over that shit. Like it was
before you were making them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's, and then I remember I was in Israel and there was a Dale Chihuly exhibit and there were these like crazy sculptures everywhere you were
Big
walking
blocks.
through. It was just everything from
Okay.
like the sea plates up top and the huge sculptures, and it was
Cool.
mind blowing. And like this Tower of David setting, you know,
Wow.
that just like kind of like for summer, I was like 17. And I was the first time I was like blown away by real art, you know, I
Cool.
think. And so
In
glass
Israel.
just kind of was like awesome when at that time, you know. Then you meet a glass blower because you start selling weed, and you now are selling pipes because people need pipes for weed, and you're hustling. That's like
So
natural
you were
progression.
like buying pipes and just selling them?
I used to buy pipes from Jason Howard.
Okay.
Yeah, like little marbles. And
Wow.
when he came through Wheaton or something, I'd buy a case of pipes from him, and just have pipes. And then there was one dude I met that I bought pipes from, this dude Seth, that he like had this crazy 6-foot hash distillation system he made, and he happened to be a Salem Community College student in like scientific glass. Like he was making hash like in
Wow. Like
03, like,
spraying it.
I don't know
Through
what
like
the
a
fuck they
tube.
were doing at all. Like who needs a 6-foot? Maybe there was some butane extraction going.
Through it. Yeah.
Just
'Cause
before butane was happening, really, I think. So
Oh.
I'm not sure.
maybe pressure. I don't know.
They might-
6 foot. That's a lot for butane to go
It
through.
was like different pieces. It
Oh,
was
wow.
almost like they were
so
having.
he was
fun.
making like hash back then.
I didn't see the actual hash,
Well,
but I
it's
feel
like-
like he was fucking with his scientific skills to just fuck around with this apparatus.
happens.
And I seen that. I was like, that's pretty fucking cool. Like this scientific shit. And then he told me about the school. And I think it was like 3 years later when I was like, you hit that point when you're like 20 in your 20s where you're like, I got to think of something to do with my life or something.
Yeah.
Salem Community College hit, and I used to live in New Jersey, so I just moved back in with my parents for a couple years and did a couple years in college.
Scientific.
Yeah, I started in the art program and then switched to the scientific because they were getting like way more shop time, and
Okay.
just I was kind of more drawn to the scientific.
Yeah,
It just
torch
seemed more
time.
interesting, and it was more instant gratification on the scientific. You were building things really quick, where colored work, that art stuff, there wasn't much. It was a slow progression, and the
Yeah.
teacher Paul DeMarco was like trying to teach people how to be an artist as much as trying to be a glass blower. When really we needed to be fully intensive.
You were trying to
on
learn a trade.
torch.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. Learn the skills.
Yeah.
On the,
So I switched to scientific, and Dan Coyle was in the grade above me. That's where I met Hill,
way.
and Germ was in that grade.
cool.
Fucking had
Pretty good year.
a few people. Who was in my grade? That was I don't feel bad if I don't remember any right now.
But someone who continued on is
Yeah, like, I know some people like helped take over Roar, or like represent Illadelph and shit. And I know Illadelph guy. He started in Salem.
really. What's his
Luca?
name? Yeah.
Luca?
Oh, yeah, Luca or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't really know him. He's kind of a legend at Salem at that point. There weren't too many people with like
And
huge
Roar
content.
too. Like Roar,
Roar was Germany.
Germany, yeah.
but they had an American thing
an
going.
American guy. Yeah.
But yeah, we just that
Cool.
school was like.
So what did you do after
still is.
school? Did you have a lathe? Were you working on a lathe in school? I
Yeah,
guess
getting
so,
on a
right?
lathe pretty
Yeah.
quick. I was trying to do bench work, and then I got a job at this scientific shop, a scientific factory, H.S. Martin, that was really focused on mostly custom stuff. Most of the shops around there are production. I worked at a production shop for like 6 months, where like they would give you like 1,000 fucking test tubes, and you'd have to put 2 hooks on the top of each one, and you go through the box.
Oh, for like scientific, not pipe stuff, right?
Scientific,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
Or like,
so you're making to spec for everything.
yeah, and they give you like the box of fucking parts where like you don't have to fucking think. Like you're putting the thing in the holder, and you're making little distillation tubes with a tube in a tube. Make 1,000 of them, and you got really good doing that. Then
Yeah.
I felt really good about getting paid $12 an hour, $15 an hour to just practice making little pulls of glass, because that's kind of what you got to do,
Yeah.
But then I got the job at the more custom. They were making like 30-foot tall distillation systems for like gas and oil extractions and gold and a lot of metals. You need to actually, industrial systems need to be used glass. They can't use metal
No.
parts.
Yeah.
That's-
Contamination.
So most of the scientific glass world is like all in China, and all this chemistry stuff, they barely use the stuff anymore. But like that industrial stuff, they still use the glass to make stuff. And
Yeah.
So
So you're making big, giant projects.
coils
Pay
and
went up,
coils
I
and
guess,
coils.
at this job, and
Yeah, I got up to $20 an hour. I think I got close to 20 when I realized it wasn't going to get too much farther.
yeah.
It's sad, like, I mean, you weren't going to, you might max out at 70 grand a year, which is okay, but like I was, basically I was making pipes on the side and making pretty quick, just as much money making bongs in 2 hours as I'd make in a day at the scientific shop. And
Yeah.
then
Where were you doing that?
in my garage.
Oh, you had a little setup?
Yeah.
Okay,
Got
cool.
a little like Bethlehem lathe, and
Oh, shit.
Steve Bates lived there for a while.
Oh, no way.
We were pretty much like neighbors, and he came to that scientific shop the year after me, and
And this is out in
his
Northern
brand blew
California?
up. No, this is in Salem.
Oh, Salem. Okay.
Yeah. So I lived in this town called Millville, which is like sort of the hub of American glass blowing.
Millville.
Yeah, it's where like the New Jersey glass blowing boom.
Okay.
And
So
The
it's a
early
pretty hot
glass.
spot for glass still to this day.
Yeah, well, a lot of the scientific shops aren't what they used to be, you know,
Okay.
because China makes the shit. And like I said, they don't really need glassware and research like they used to. You know, they have computers and shit to do to figure out how much.
AI probably just
I was going to fucking
figures out everything.
I don't know what they're going to need scientists for. You know. But theoretically, you got to use the AI to. You'll just think on a larger scale, and the AI will think about all the bullshit for you.
I feel like they're already reading your minds a little bit with the phone.
For a long
start
time,
thinking about stuff. Yeah, for a while, and then you comes up.
Yeah, it's freaking scary.
So, when did you come? When were you Bluegrass Man? Did you come up with like a brand?
That was when I was working with Hitman.
Oh,
You remember Hitman?
Yeah, Dougie.
Yeah. Doug was. He was the first brand to like be like, our bongs are for fucking hash, and weed. Like everyone before was like tobacco, you know. So that was kind of cool. And so working with Doug, he took me on as his like kind of custom. I do all the collabs, and then I started making the torch tubes with him. And he was like, you need a alias, you know. He threw Bluegrass Man at me, and it stuck.
No way.
It was tight. I'm not like Bluegrass. I've been called way different nicknames. I was trained for a while. I was,
yeah,
8, whatever, you know.
Because you were making the trains before. Was that one of your first bigger projects that you were doing?
Yeah, that was me breaking out of the box a little, you know.
Yeah, they were huge. They were big, giant pieces. I remember. I think I saw like a Grateful Dead one or something. And
yeah,
so
you were. That was your show. When were you there? When we made that collab series, we did a show.
Yeah, at the end,
I'm not sure
I
if
was
the
there.
trains were in that one or the year after. They might have been the year after. They were probably the year after.
No, I seen them at that show. I think
Awesome.
the first one or something. Like I don't know.
It's fucking blur, man.
Yeah, it's all blur.
But
that show was sick, and that whole body. Yeah, that was a fun time down there.
Yeah, Jared DeLong was like trying to push for making things happen. You know,
Yeah,
it's hard in Humboldt, man. They're very off the beaten path. You know, so people don't exactly come in. But it was
party,
happening.
dude.
Humboldt was a little more prosperous back then. It's
Yeah.
taking a hit with the whole weed markets and whatnot. But yes, I was working with Hitman,
Okay.
making glass, doing their higher end stuff, and we ran that for a few years. You know, he pretty much introduced me to banjo, and he flew me out to the West Coast to do my first run of collabs. I think Darby was the first guy I collabed with. And, I collabed with Mike Furrow. He came to New Jersey to see me, and that was like Mike Furrow's an epic human being. And
Yeah.
I was like, I can't even believe the shit he was doing. I never even saw that kind of work in person, you know. And eventually, like, we were doing some mail collabs with people, but I went out to the West Coast, and Darby was the first guy I worked with, first glassblower I seen with like a family that was like killing it, and like, you know, Leela, his wife, was like helping, like keeping things going, and I was like, wow, I never seen that, you know.
Yeah.
New Jersey, and so working with Darby and Deline Peralta and Banjo, Tristan, it was a crazy little road trip, and that's how I ended up staying on the West Coast. You know, I came back pretty quick, met my wife on that trip, and came back and knocked her up pretty quick. Here we are, you know. She stuck with me for a while, and you know, now. But yeah, so met a lot of people through Hitman, and then Hitman kind of Doug started focusing on his festival, you know, and she kind of hit the fan with
Chalice.
that. Yeah,
They were
Chalice.
good. That was
It
fun.
was a lot of fun.
That was so much fun. I had a great time there.
People give Doug a lot of hard time, but he had a good vision.
Nah,
I haven't been to a weed festival that was that fun.
That was banging, dude.
I guess the dab or the puff cons kind of is trying to step it up now, but the Chalice was the original. Like
That was the original
High
one.
Times was having cannabis cups.
Yeah, and there was another one out in San Bernardino, but Chalice was like
High Times was like a fucking just a crazy weed market, which was awesome. You were in a parking lot. There was very low budget. There was for entertainment. You know, it was just like
Flea market.
people would go and just run around, grab all this awesome hash drops that were happening before. This was like in the beginning, you know.
Yeah.
And then Doug did Chalice, and he had like $1 million budget on music. Like he had fucking Ice Cube playing.
He had Alchemist there. Action Bronson was there.
Fucking Busta Rhymes.
Oh yeah.
That was tight.
Yeah, I got the poster over there, dude. It was like he killed it. That was a fun show.
But then it hit the fan when right when weed got
legalized.
legalized.
Was it licensing shit? Or?
He was like fully, from my understanding, he was fully invested in this festival. And then when we got legalized, the permitting changed, and the county was like, no, we don't want this anymore.
Oh my god.
He pretty much got fucked. But yeah, so anyway, after that happened, kind of like the glass, he wasn't focusing on on me enough.
So were you living out on the West Coast at that point, or were you East Coast?
Yeah, I'd say I was on the West Coast making
Humboldt.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I was making stuff for Hitman. Then I started working at Jared the Long Shop, and we did like 100 mini tube series, and started getting into more just trying to try out all different things. Made the trains, made all different cool functional pieces that I tried to make crazy recyclers at that time, and trying to figure it out and sell stuff, and that was when right before the lamp I made this like gumball machine.
Okay.
A collab with Sake Bomb.
Oh,
before
nice.
the gumball machine, I made a rocket ship with hops and coil. And it was like a fucking crazy big rocket ship. We stuck a coiled monkey head with American flag, hops helmet on it in it, and it was crazy. I don't know where that piece.
Was it like what kind of rocket ship? Was it like a NASA one or like a?
It was pretty.
It was kind of cartoony. Okay.
Cartoony for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, hops.
I want to see these. Like we'll probably put B-roll of them up too.
Dig them up.
Yeah, if you got them. I mean,
Hopper was a big push. When I was there, he was always like, "We got to make it fucking cooler, man." Like he had the spirit, But
nice.
so doing that rocket ship, putting something in the tube. I was always the guy putting shit in the tube. I was like one of the first people that was like doing cool sculptures inside. And I remember did this Rob Morrison tube where like there was an animal sculpture and his head was like stuck in the bong and his body was outside the bong. And
oh, cool.
it was like kind of like before people now
seals
sick shit in bongs all the time now, and they got people doing all sort of sheen with this fucking bubbles, marbles in them, and it's different now. But like back then, I feel like I was kind of like I felt proud of like bringing that scientific edge to the art scene.
Totally.
So, but putting things into the tubes, the rocket ship, then that like or the
gumball machine. You had all like little gumballs in there.
Yeah,
cool. And then when did you come up with like the lamp?
Yeah, so I feel like after that gumball machine, I was kind of like,
what next?
I need to think of something really cool with my trade set, because I've seen everyone doing these crazy wigwags and color work and sculpture work, and I was kind of like, I need to think of something like utilize my skills, and I'm obviously like I could shape things, and I'm good at putting things in the tube, so I was just like rattling my brain about things put inside of a piece, and I thought about a lava lamp a while back, and I forget at what point it was like I was actually working where I was like, oh, I should actually make this thing,
Yeah.
And
you had the idea rattling around and you're like, I got to make this.
Yeah. And it was pretty effortless, the first one I made, it was like, that's a good sign.
Yeah.
Like you have your vision, you draw it out a little bit and it comes together really nicely. And, whereas a lot of the things I was making, like the trains and things were like a lot of like, it didn't feel effortless.
Yeah. Gets big pretty quick.
Yeah, and a lot of different parts, and
like
putting things through a donut, and it's like this was like.
So you executed the first one. You're like, hey, I could go with this, and
it was like obvious. Like everyone in that scene, it was like, damn, I was like, good thing to come up with like right when you have like kids and shit, and it was
a little blessing.
Yeah, exactly. It has been, because I've got the shape now, and I've got different designs on it.
You're the lava lamp guy. Or Wonder Lamp.
We don't use that.
Yeah.
I love
that one out.
Company, man.
But can you talk about some of that? Did you get was there some copyright? Did you get any letters?
I caught a cease and desist.
Okay.
Probably 2 years into making them.
Wow.
I was like advertising for a lava lamp bong raffle. Pretty loud and just using that lava word. And I hope that's really what it was all about.
It was from the company. Is it like a parent company than Lava Lamp? Like, do they have a parent?
Yeah, they bought out, like a bigger company bought out the Lava Lamp design. So it's like
who'd you get a letter from?
They're lawyers.
Okay.
And they're
like
pretty much like
or something.
Cease and desist. We don't want you using our trademark design. Don't use our trademark word.
Okay.
And I talked to them on the phone, and they were pretty clear about like the word being the fucking critical like aspect. Like that word is. Like the killer.
Yeah, they've trademarked that name.
But we talked about it. I was like, well, I could change the shaping up a little bit, and how much you have to change shaping to make things like
what did they say?
That copyright or trademark. They were like cool with it. We didn't come up with a definitive like what's it going to be shaped like. I
just
tried all
change the shape.
After that happened, I changed the shapes. I tried like a bubble bottom where they functioned really great, but they didn't look enough like the classic lamp. which in my opinion is public domain at this point. I mean, I wouldn't go making lava lamps that look exactly like lava lamps, but like the lava lamp, that whole, it's the molten lamp. Like the guy that invented it was in Europe, and it wasn't even called that, you know. So it was
like the bottle with the wax in it.
Yeah, the guy that's
pretty.
And they still make it over there, and they're kind of way better over there. You buy the American lamp, and it's kind of like the shit breaks after a couple of weeks, you know.
Cheap.
Yeah. You pay like 3 times more of it. But anyway, so yeah, I messed with all different shapes and like kind of started doing more of that, like less of that.
Were you like worried when you got this leather a little bit?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I just got good at this. Now I got to stop. Or
it still looms a little bit, you know. Like we were talking
called Wonder Lamps. They're Wonder Lamps.
They're definitely Wonder
Lamps. You should trademark the
Encycler and the once I put fab holes in them, all that stuff. It like obviously goes.
It's not a lava lamp.
I do sometimes. Sometimes some come out like a little closer to the original shape, and sometimes glass just goes that way. Like a shape, you know, when you're working on it, you're like, how can I fight this? You know.
Yeah.
But the function is what it. It's not a molten wax lamp.
No.
You know, and I haven't heard back from them.
You have?
I haven't.
You haven't.
No.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, and you know.
I mean, I don't think they're gonna waste all lawyer fees and time to like
pursue
easy to
that. Cease and desist. Like
easy,
quick,
easy,
$100.
Easy.
Yeah.
And it's a bong or a pipe or whatever, or bong or pipe or whatever you want to call
Bubblers and bonds.
Yeah.
I made some
totally
recently that are bona fide.
Lava lamps or under lamp?
No.
Wait.
they're flower lamps. You know, where it's a bong. You know, it's a big flask bottom and the same similar top, but it's got a removable diffie instead. You know, so I made flower lamps. I made them for oil.
Yeah, that would be a long. I mean, that would probably be. They would never take that to court, dude.
Yeah,
turning it in. It's so.
We could talk it out.
Of course,
you know,
but I don't think. Well,
it's definitely something I try to avoid making that exact lamp shape.
And you're calling it Wonder
I have
Lamp,
one in my shop. I don't make that exact shape. It's easy to avoid that, you know.
Yeah.
And I put a joint on the side, and if they want me to put a little marble on it, I could do that. If that's what, you know, if there's the line, they'll just have to define it, you know. But as far as I'm concerned, I'd make it distinctly obvious that I'm not part of their company, and
yeah.
You know, obviously those lamps inspired me. You know, who haven't they inspired? Like, who hasn't sat and looked at a lava lamp?
Probably, yeah. Probably a few people, but probably a lot of people have. Out there.
I've got them hung up in my son's room. We put him to sleep. We just like stare at that thing, you know. It's kind of cool. It's relaxing. But anyway, I don't associate with the company. I avoid that word, and I changed the shape, and we just kind of move forward. And
that's sick.
I know.
But you still looms a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, man, I wish like this was just like cut and dry, where we could just kind of where I can.
Would you rather call it a lava lamp?
No, it's more about the shape than the lamp, you know. Like I feel like sometimes I want that sharper in and out.
You think they'll have the head dude come over with calipers and check each one and be like, dude, it's too close. We're gonna have to cease and desist these.
It's not like they're all the same. I'm hand making them. Sometimes like the base is way.
I wouldn't worry at all. I mean, maybe it looms. I could understand how it looms a little bit.
It makes so I don't. Sometimes there might be a piece once in a while that I feel I shouldn't advertise as much.
Really,
you know?
Yeah. Oh man,
shit. But yeah, so we've been lamping for a while now.
Yeah, awesome. Many more. Here's to many more years.
Yeah,
we're gonna bust a little one out later.
Yeah, all right. Yeah,
tiny one.
It's gonna be dope.
The company Lava Lamp make tiny ones too.
I haven't seen any. They don't. They keep it pretty cut and dry.
Yeah. Well, there you go. We got this one.
It's obviously different. 6 inches.
Is life a little bit chaotic at times? Well, me too. Put a little harmony in your life. Harmony Extracts. Scoop me up a dab. No matter what you're into, they've got you covered. Live rosin, live resin, live batter. Look at those diamonds. They got you covered, it looks like, with everything live. Harmony Extracts are available in dispensaries throughout Colorado. Find them on Instagram at harmony_extracts and on their website at harmonyextracts.com. What do you see when you see this? I see perfect harmony.
You really start getting into music a little bit too? when you moved out there, or more so? You've always been picking.
Yeah. I've just been picking more, practicing. It's really
Ever since you were like a teenager? Or?
Well, I started playing when I was like 15.
15.
Kind of seriously. I say when I was like 18, I got my first banjo when I was like 19, and I like sat there for 5 hours a day picking, and now figuring 8 hours, whatever. And haven't done that for a long time. Now, if I play for like 3 hours in a week, I've done pretty good.
Yeah.
You know?
Would you say you're better at banjo than guitar?
Yeah, that's my focus.
That's your focus.
And my son now, teaching him has been my focus more than me.
Yeah.
And teaching someone is the ultimate way to get better.
Totally.
Like, I can't even it's hard to explain.
No, I get it.
My
Explain something again, like.
And you slow it down.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, you always want to go fast when you're learning, but like when you
ingrains
slow
it
down,
in your brain.
those banjo licks go fast.
Yeah.
So when you slow it down and really nail them slow. But
I should
the
teach
teaching.
Did you start him on the banjo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is key too.
Is it?
It's like most start on guitar, and then it's like you're always kind of tainted.
Yeah. Start on is banjo a little more hard to play? Would you?
No, I'd say it's easier.
Okay.
But it's like you know, starting fresh with that, you'll just like never want to play like a guitar, you know. I'd say going playing banjo, then going to guitar would be way better.
Really?
Yeah.
I want to learn the
I
banjo.
worked for Jerry, but Jerry played guitar and banjo. But the banjo picking that Jerry did definitely influenced his guitar playing. Jerry Garcia, you know.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was figuring. Yeah.
He was missing a middle finger.
No
I
way.
have no fucking clue. I think that's why he didn't really push his banjo playing. Is because like.
You need all fingers to play?
You're 3-finger picking usually. So if you're missing this finger, he's got to pick on this hand. He's doing this. There's not as much dexterity there.
Wow.
You know, so I imagine he's not the best banjo player, and that's probably why. Like he has a distinct style. Yeah.
Interesting.
So much love to Jerry and his banjo. He definitely. I'm pretty sure I started playing banjo with the intent to get better at my electrical guitar playing and sound more like Jerry. I was like, well, he did banjo. I should do banjo.
Wow. It's so amazing how much influence that band and Jerry had on.
It's embarrassing a little bit.
Like everybody that pretty much comes through here, dude. That's like where they got in the glass, what kind of music they're into, you know, like a lot of people. That's great.
But I went to my first Bluegrass festival, and then I really saw the light. So I was playing banjo by myself or with some friends, thinking I was hot shit, and then you go to like where real pickers are. Yeah, like these guys are working people. They're not professional musicians, and they're better than anyone you've ever seen. And the vibe of like real bluegrass music live, and like it's like way different, you know.
What was that? What was your first bluegrass festival?
That was in South Jersey, right near the college there. There's the Delaware Valley Bluegrass Festival. And
okay.
I remember it was just, you don't know any of the bands playing, even though they're pretty popular bluegrass bands, going into it not as a bluegrass guy, as a Grateful Dead convert. Like, you know, a lot of people went from that Grateful Dead shit to like acoustic Americana stuff, and then who knows where you land. You still always love the Grateful Dead, but for me, I'm more into acoustic and bluegrass music now.
Yeah.
But like, I still listen to the Dead because they're awesome. But
I love bluegrass too. Very soulful.
Yeah, it's truth. You know, it's very authentic. You can't like. There's a lot of bluegrass now. The new bluegrass is popular bluegrass.
Like Billy Strings.
Billy Strings is probably the
best new dude.
He's the well, I love Billy Strings.
Yeah,
but like his style of playing, he's amazing. I want to word this right because he's done a lot for bluegrass. Like pretty much like all these kids at a Billy Strings show, they don't know anything. Most of them don't know anything about old bluegrass music, and Billy's exposing them to bluegrass. For all they know, Billy wrote all these songs when Billy's playing covers of traditional songs, you know. So it's like you start like, wow, you still listen to the Grateful Dead songs thinking they wrote them, and then I learned they were old traditional songs. So it's a similar thing happening. So, but the thing is, Billy's very rock and roll oriented, you know, and jam oriented, and the new bluegrass scene is very jam oriented. It started with Yonder Mountain String Band.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Green Sky. You're in Colorado.
Like you guys put me on to them when I was down over there. Like Banjo mentioned Yonder Mountain String Band. That's where we started listening to that.
Yeah. So Billy String's the first guy to fill up stadiums, you know, and make, you know, for me, I can't stand a bluegrass concert. I don't like stadium shows. And anyway, the new bluegrass sound, it's actually, I guess, so there's that influence now. So you got a lot of these guys like just shredding, and it's amazing. Yeah. But it's like become shred grass. It's like, how fast can you pick? And like, you know, and like Whereas the bluegrass I'm into, it's more of a character trait thing. Like, it's like my favorite musicians of bluegrass are like, you see their face and the way they talk, and you know they've been through real life. Yeah, Jimmy Martin. Like,
I love that too.
It's so real, and like I like the gruff of it.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be like all produced and filled out. Just like that raw talent and like the raw feeling.
Yeah, you know, like my favorite banjo picker, he was a mailman during the day and played banjo for his job, you know. But anyway, so like, but now what you got is like kids that were brought up playing music, you know, that were like, they went to band camp when they were 6, and like they all played every year. Their parents were musicians, and they're going to camp and learning and taking these, you know, they become virtuosic musicians. And like, so bluegrass is not something you need to be a virtuosic musician.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like, I like a rusty string sound. You know, I like the rough edges, you know, I like a good fuck up here and there.
Yeah, fuck up here and there.
You know, but these kids now are like,
who did you say was your favorite bluegrass guy? Who's the mailman? What's his name?
J.D. Crowe.
J.D. Crowe.
He's the one that took, well, you got Earl Scruggs, the banjo guy, and J.D. Crowe kind of like took his sound and kind of refined it a little bit.
Okay.
But J.D. Crowe's the dude that, if you want to listen to banjo music, it's Earl Scruggs, Don Reno, J.D. Crowe, and you go from there, you know.
Cool.
But the banjo is awesome. You know, it's got this raw, loud, people like got to leave the room if they can't handle it. You know, it's a sharp sound, you know.
Kyle's dad has one made from a 57 Chevrolet flywheel with like milk carton inlays. And I brought it to the banjo class down here when I first took the banjo class, which like changed my life. And Mike Froh was a part of it too. Oh, yeah. That class, I was like, okay, this is what you can do with glass. But
when was that?
That was when Glasscraft was around. That was probably like in 2009 or something. Like
way back.
Yeah, we were very early. But I brought that banjo to class, and like banjo loved it. He was playing it. He's like, "This is great. It's all put together."
You actually played?
Yeah, he played. I think that was the poster. It ended up being like the poster flyer because it was a nice picture. It was like this old Chevy flywheel.
Probably.
Yeah, it was Victor's. Shout out Victor. He's got that banjo.
The card hubcap.
Yeah, so I would love to learn how to play the banjo. Do you think it's possible for an adult? I mean, like,
you consider yourself an adult? Yeah.
I mean,
for big kids like us, it's very possible.
Yeah.
For a real adult, that's like completely
okay.
Might not want.
How would you start learning the banjo?
You buy a banjo.
Yeah, and then we just
you buy the Earl Scruggs book.
Earl
Scruggs book, black book. It's like the standard. Yeah, you just lay it out.
Oh, really?
It's really simple, you know. The banjo is an open tuning, so right away you could just strum it and it sounds good. Unlike a guitar, where it's like you strum it and it's ring. You know, you got to put fingers down. There's less strings. The strings are the same notes, so it's like there's just a lot of drone shit going on. So yeah, it looks like a lot going on, but like usually you're playing one note and like have free drone notes kind of happening. So this is kind of you just start kind of
picking and strumming.
Yeah, you just start learning the rolls on your right hand.
Yeah.
That's where it starts. It's all in your right hand. That's what the banjo is about.
Your right hand,
you got to get your finger rolls. It's in the book.
That's where I would need to improve on guitar usually too. It's like if I need to, like I can strum it and play chords, but like picking is like a little bit hard. But
yeah, well, after you do the banjo for a while,
yeah.
Like I used to be the guy that would want to be like, didn't it, like up here with all the hot licks and run a scale, you know, and do our shit.
Man, yeah.
I did that. Now it's like, I'm way more into like enunciation on like fewer notes. First of all, I'm not as dexterous as I used to be, you know. Yeah, but like you don't do much up here, you know. So a lot of times when you're doing too much up here, you're kind of losing.
Is there like one note? Is there like one string that's shorter on a banjo?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's the bluegrass style banjo. It has the high G string.
Yeah.
Tenor style banjo has 4 strings. That's like the jazz Dixieland style.
Oh, interesting.
It's become a bluegrass.
What kind do you like to play? Bluegrass.
I'm a bluegrass guy, but that Dixieland stuff I listen to a lot, and I definitely bring it into my playing, which is kind of what I feel like one of my unique things is like digging into more of that stuff. And you hear most bluegrass pickers are like, they want to play exactly like Earl Scruggs, and there's a certain traditional way to play, and like they learn about the book, and that's how you want to be. Where we come from, like a Wook want to be our own people and like
A little
I want to
twang
learn how
on
to
it.
play it. It is important to be able to make that sound, but like, you know, you want to find your own voice.
Yeah, through the strings.
Yeah, it's been good for me. I mean,
So you kind of got your own little style too, like
I think I do.
some people would hear.
Definitely.
Different.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I mean, some people might not like it. That's when you know you have good style, like your style.
Yeah,
Like it's like
'cause it's
some people try to
different
apply to
than
everybody.
Earl Scruggs.
Yeah, someone's gonna be like, "Oh, you're not supposed to play it like that."
Yeah,
Like,
that's how I do it.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm in a bluegrass jam with the traditional old timing guys,
Yeah,
might not do
switch it up a little bit.
I might keep it traditional.
Oh, you might. Okay.
I might throw out. You pick up the vibe. Sometimes moonshine goes around, and like you might get a little loose. You know,
I love that,
It's
That sounds like a really cool
people-
vibe.
the bluegrass family is like an amazing vibe. Like
Yeah, it looks so much.
you get
fun.
along with like everyone's getting along. People are feeding each other.
Yeah,
It's not like the Billy Strings vibe is not the bluegrass vibe. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. At all. Like a stadium show, like with, you know, bunch of fucking wasted people. It's awesome. Like
yeah, it's a little too mainstream.
Go tripping into a bluegrass Billy Strings show. It's gonna fucking rock your world, you know.
Yeah,
But it's you know, if I don't like corporate things, you're surrounded by advertisements, and you know, you go to a bluegrass festival, you're in a farm, and I mean, music festivals in general, like they started out as bluegrass festivals, and then the hippies took them and Woodstock was inspired by bluegrass festivals.
really.
Yeah, from what I've gathered.
So they were kind of like the first music gatherings.
Yeah, I think so. You know, but Bluegrass Festival is special because it's more about the music in the campground than the music on the stage.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a. You go to Bluegrass Festival, you might not even get to the stage because like you just play music all weekend.
yeah. I think Telluride has a good bluegrass festival.
They have a string of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a huge thing.
Huge
Telluride,
thing.
and they got Rocky Grass, and
Oh.
they've won that. Telluride's the hippie one. People do fairy wings, and you know you'll have fucking hula hoops and all the fucking flow, and it's awesome. I love that shit.
Yeah.
But like then they got like another more traditional one where you might have more traditional bluegrass bands that might dress.
What's that one called?
Like Rocky Grass, I think.
That's around Colorado somewhere.
the same place.
Oh, in
it's in Telluride.
Oh, okay.
They have a whole bunch of stuff. I think there's a bluegrass community there that's just like living there.
Pretty
They're probably just doing the show
hardcore.
every weekend.
Yeah. That's
But
cool.
the Colorado bluegrass scene is like kind of like Billy Strings got big in Colorado. Then it kind of went from there. You know, I feel like Colorado's got the biggest bluegrass scene out of anybody
Is that right?
by far. Yeah, I mean,
Is that right?
Sam Bush comes out here. You see a lot of bluegrass people come to Colorado and they'll do like 10 shows in Colorado between
Wow.
Denver and
Red Rocks.
yeah, or like going up to Vail. They do all the ski mountains. Do shit.
I guess Red Rocks is kind of Denver. but-
Colorado loves its bluegrass, man.
Damn.
It's tight.
I
Big
didn't
love.
know that.
Yeah. It's mountains.
So, hey, if you could tell your older self some advice, what do you would you have any advice for your older self? You know, do you think if you get to in 20 years from now, you'll forget about now, and you will, you know, like when you're younger, you don't really think about being 40, but like, do you think you might want to tell your older self anything?
Oh, so many things.
Well,
I mean, like some of the shit I won't say right now. I'm fucking. I mean, like smack myself.
are they a lot of
I
do
would
not?
whoop on my old self, to be honest.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you? Oh, maybe not.
I mean, I just don't want to go softer like I see a lot of old people going. I don't know, like, but then I see a lot of people working up to the, you know, the day they die almost.
Yeah.
I think that kind of keeps you moving a little bit. Like, I don't know.
I love.
I love
what else are you gonna
do?
do? I mean, like, we're blessed to have found our craft. You know.
Yeah.
I was telling myself something back in the day. It'd be like, just don't do so many stupid things, man. Like, just I feel like I did things pretty good. So just a few things.
It's just your
about,
perspective can change when you get older, and like, you know, to keep a young, fresh take on things into your elder years. Well,
what would probably be more handy is my older self
yeah.
coming to me now and giving myself,
Well, what would you tell your younger self then?
or my older self telling me.
I think if we could talk to the older self and he could fill us in what's going on right now, like maybe we could invest right. And
That's where meditation comes in. You tap into your.
do you meditate?
Nah,
You don't?
That's where it's out of mind, you know? I should meditate.
Yeah. Have you ever
I have
tried?
meditated, yeah. And you definitely tap into your older self, like your wiser
You
self.
tap into all sorts of things. But yeah, it's
Maybe
interesting
tapping
how
into
like
nothing.
10 minutes can feel like half an hour or like 2 minutes. And it's like, it's strange to the perspective of time when you're really truly trying to meditate. Like some days it's like, holy shit, is it not? I don't look, but it's like, feels like half an hour. And then some days it's like, I'm like, my timer's going off and I'm like, wow, that was quick.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of gauging what's going on. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Could be a stroll sometimes. Same with work.
Yeah.
You know, some days you're in the shop and the shop day just flies by. Other days, like, have you ever gotten into a piece that you weren't thrilled with and you're a third in and you're like,
Yeah.
I gotta go for a while here. Like, I wish I didn't do that, you know? Or like, there's one little part of it, one little thing can happen where you're like, damn it, but you got to finish the piece, you know? Sometimes,
Yeah.
you don't talk.
And sometimes that's from like, that doesn't happen so much anymore. But yeah, maybe if I'm rushing a piece and I'm like not thinking about it enough, like yeah, if I do more preparation, then usually doesn't happen. But if I'm rushing and I'm being quick and being, what's the word? Not sloppy, but just like,
You're done.
like lack of, I don't know, like
Rip shit or
like sometimes I'm like, they're not perfect, but I could probably heat that up a little bit and like melt it on, and then but then I end up doing more to fix that problem. So like setting things up in preparation for the piece is.
Yeah, a lot of times you'll screw something up and you'll end up with a fix that makes the piece cooler, you know?
Yeah, sometimes.
I think what I'm trying to say is more like, for a long time I was doing a lot of customs. And a lot of those customs, people wanted a very similar piece. And I think what it would be is like the monotonous thing.
Oh, yeah.
Would be like, man, I got to do the same kind of thing again, different colors. And, you know.
But the money was there.
The money was there. It's my job, you know.
No, I got it. Yeah.
I'm all about it, you know. I'd be glad to do that half the time and do my creative thing half the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like make what you want. Like if I order a guitar from someone, he's like, what kind of wood do you want? Like this and that. And I'd give him broad details. But then my favorite customs, like they give me some outlines and then they're like, do your thing, you know. But for a long time, it was like, I want royal jelly and moonstone.
The hype colors.
And, you know, there was a redundancy that happened for a while. But I was making better money than I ever made, you know.
Yeah.
Now I make way fewer pieces.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm happier with every piece feels like it's a little more.
I think that's happened overall for a lot of artists, like that just how things got a little bit slower. I think it's coming back right now, but people get to kind of explore a little bit more, come up with new things, and it's not like orders every day. But that was good. I'm not saying that was bad, but
yeah. Well, it comes down to like I'm lazy, and I will just like take the path of least resistance, and you know, I'm not going to fight like not having to think about what I'm going to have to make that day. And then that option left the table because I stopped taking customs at a certain point because I was sick of it. But then at a certain point, it was like people didn't necessarily want the same exact thing every time, you know, like people. So that's where I went into my artist slumber and started reading self-help books. Like the Rick Rubin book was awesome. He was really good for encouraging creativity. And
you should read that.
Yeah, it's easy reading. It's like, you know, you read a couple paragraphs and it's like, meditate on that for a while. Well, Matthew's meditated a lot. Yeah.
Wow. I should get that one. I will get that one.
Yeah. I seen another Glassblower post about it and I was like, I gotta get it. And I lost it, but I don't think I even finished it. But what I read was enough, you know. But anyway, us changing our patterns and our habits, and for me, like, it's been great. Like, I have a lot more fun and in my quest of like finding heady sections now than, you know, just kind of working, doing the prep and getting through it, and you know, it being like more. It was just more monotonous before, and now it's like there's no guaranteed sale as much, and so I always feel like I got to do my best work, but I also feel like I want to like keep it interesting and not, you know, keep fresh ideas flowing for me.
Yeah, I like that. I
to
like
want to
that
work.
Too.
But when you do that, and it's in the Rick Rubin book, when you do the work for yourself, people feel that vibration and they respond to it. As much as like you can do something amazing and like ride that fucking greatest hit for a long time, but like people feel when that band like keeps their heart in it. And that's like Grateful Dead thing again. They kept coming up with new shit and like changing their sound and keeping you on your toes. And I want to do that. You know, I don't want to be boring.
No, it's for your soul. It's like why I got into art in the first place. And sometimes, you know, you're in limbo and you forget about that, but it's good to come back to that.
Yeah, I think that's the best part about, that's what needed to happen with a lot of the glass blowers I'm talking to.
Mm-hmm.
We, like, a lot of us hit a bit of a crisis there. Like, we weren't sure what to do next. And
yeah, all of our work was kind of turning into production almost.
Yeah,
like,
you had to. Like,
yeah.
You had to get your, like, niche little piece of the pie there and, like, part of the market, you know. But now it's like, I spend more time. I still got my niche little thing that I've developed because I spent so much time doing the same thing over and over. I probably made... it's hard to say. I wish I kept bear track in the early days. Nowadays, I make like 50 to 70 lamps a year. This year, I'm looking at like 50 because I'm making more like tubes, and I want to start making guitar slides and try other. You know, I made guitar slides, but I'm diversifying. You know, but like just doing as much as someone might think like, oh, you're making the same thing every time. Like, there's been so much. If you took every lamp and like, I wish I had like a picture of every one. Like,
sick.
There'd be a cool evolution to it, and they're still evolving, the function of them, and more for me right now. It's all about like cool colors stuff, and I haven't delved into like millions.
What are you working with right now? What do you like?
Like that Electrum came out, and that opened up like a whole nother dimension of glass. I feel like
I just got 2 boxes of all that stuff.
Have you not messed with it yet?
I haven't opened the boxes. Well, I've messed with it a little bit, but I haven't.
Yeah,
like really, no, not like tubing. Just like I have a stick of it. So I was using it for like solid application.
Yeah, so you
dotting and like some horns or something.
It's just like you know how white or black. It's like it's like pretty much up there with like white and black now in the palette. Like the amount you look at dots with white and black now. It's Electrum, and you put Electrum under a color, and now you got this like epic metallic sheen. You know,
wow.
The shit you could pull it down more and more. It pulls down to infinity.
No,
you could layer clear on there for days.
What's it like wash out to? Like an amber or green?
That stays metal looking. If you just leave it in clear, it'll stay metal looking.
And then get transparent?
Eventually, you might get to transparency. I've sleeved it. I put it with a lot, maybe like a 1-to-10 ratio with clear, 1 being Electrum.
Oh, 1-to-10?
And it is fucking metallic. So
opaque?
Yeah.
Wow.
Over there next door, they're busting out a lot more of the more transparent looking, which I'm going to go soon and take some notes and see what's going on. But yeah, that's
must be really cut down to get transparent.
Yeah. It helps. See, that's where it comes in handy being in the studio with like 5 other guys, because you're all fucking with this shit and you're taking notes and shit. Where it's me, I'm in my shop alone, like figuring out. But it's been cool. The Electrum made, every now and then a color comes out that like, and Molten Ore is lately to do it, like when those new transparent colors came out. And it kind of invigorates us as a community, people are stoked to buy the pieces because there's this cool new color. And
totally
for us, it's like this Electrum. It's like my latest work. If you look at it, it's like I've utilized in fucking canes and pattern, like all different kind of ways.
How are people getting like that? Like, how would you make that into a tube? Stripe it or a blowout?
I think blowout.
Blowout's the best way.
I found blowout's the best. But like I'll gather up a little and blow it out slowly, and gather up, blow it out, gather up. So like, figure 1 stick, you'll get like a tube like that.
Yeah.
And if you just sleeve that with a piece of heavy wall, you'll have a pretty nice piece of color to work with.
For 1
But also, if you want to do like dots on it, you wouldn't want to put clear on it. It does the shit like white does, where you put like dots on it and keep like like the honeycomb kind of effect.
Yeah.
So for that, you don't want to have clear over it, or your dots don't make it into the Electrum.
And you think if you striped it, would it blend in if you melted it?
Yeah, I've had lines when I've striped it.
Yeah. Because I've seen some like, I think it's either Ryan Fit or somebody else making like these like patterns in it. And it looks kind of like.
Yeah, so you get the lines. But Ryan Fit,
like
he's been doing that technique for a long time over like white, putting the color over it. But yeah, he lays it on there and smears it on as he's going, kind of like
rips it up
and
surface.
Doing that, you get all these lines, but he's got a good technique there. It's worked out for him with the Electrum,
Yeah.
I'm sure, you got to figure out like, certain colors, once they fold on each other, you get that like kind of like reaction mark, dark line when like a cobalt color, like you get metals touching each other. And
you see it like fold over and it's like double layer.
Yeah, it's never going to quite look like straight metal at that point. So like for me, it's like blowing it out slowly, trying to find that perfect mirror finish.
Yeah. Wow.
You see everyone's prep out there. Like some people are doing
It's
better
crazy,
than me for
dude.
sure.
Yeah.
And that neutronium, the blue version.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some people making these crazy tubes. I'm like, how do you fucking make that? You know? So I got some learning.
I
to do. I'm not
just
that
bought,
end all.
bought 2 boxes. Like it was like $1,000, dude. I got
Stacked up.
yeah, got some royal jelly too.
Yeah, I'd say
But
molten ore takes
it's
a lot of my money.
It's
I'd buy so
$160
much
a
gold.
pound or $150 a pound.
I ain't gonna lie.
It's crazy.
Sometimes I hit them up for like a little half pound of color I need. I haven't got much love. I'm like, dude, I dropped like 10 tubes on glass with you last year. Oh, I still love them. I would never
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm gonna play around.
We don't have to put that in there, dude.
Yeah, well,
Shout out to Molten Ore, dude.
shout out Molten
Those
Ore.
guys keep it fit.
Yeah. Any crazy UFO stories that happened out in Arkansas?
Nah, there's much more UFO
Activity?
activity potential in Humboldt
Yeah.
on the ocean.
Oh.
There wasn't as much around.
Did you ever see anything in Humboldt?
I couldn't say I'm
Uh,
convinced, you know? Can't be convinced of nothing, unfortunately. I've heard about swamp people coming out of the bays in Humboldt, like marsh bog alien people, or like these
Really?
swore they saw these people.
What was that?
That was my chair.
Oh, swamp people.
Yeah. No, man, like I said, Arkansas is more developed than you think it'd be.
Okay.
You know, where I'm
so
at.
you got a lot of light pollution in a big city.
Yeah, it's actually, I'm a little, you know, I love my farm and stuff, but I'm kind of close to a bigger road. I used to just hear the ocean in Humboldt. Now I hear traffic, and, you know, and then there's like, if like you look east from me, there's nothing, you know, it's country and it's dark. But you look west, there's like a strip of this crazy development happening, and it's just light, you know.
Yeah.
It is probably pretty nice, huh?
Well,
Or just
they
get-
kind of limit development mostly. Like it's not gonna, you know, it's not gonna overcrowd here. But yeah, that's too bad. I hate how they just blow things out and they don't consider nature, whatnot. Are they gonna build right up to you, or you got 13 acres?
If they get too
That's quite a
close, well,
far-
you know, I'm not gonna be there forever. I'm a
What's next to your
nomad. You know?
property is it like a lot of farmland?
Yeah, right now it's 60 empty acres that he's selling to develop, but like we just romp around there. I could hunt there, and we drive our UTVs
You got
around there.
UTVs?
Yeah, well, I have a UTV, but
Nice.
dragging the
That's
kids
fun.
around with the sled.
Wow.
You know, it actually snowed this year, but there's plenty of land. We got creeks and woods.
Sounds beautiful.
Can't go in the woods once the bugs come, you can't even go in the fucking
Oh,
woods.
really?
There's ticks.
Oh,
Like you wouldn't believe, and chickens. No one warned me about that shit. So watch that.
yeah. Did
There's
you get
ticks.
tick bite?
Oh, I got some tick bites. I've been good. You know, a lot of people get that meat-eating disease where you can't eat red meat after you get the tick bite. I forget what
Lyme?
it's called. No, it's not Lyme's disease. It's I forget what the name of it, but you don't want it because you can't eat steak.
Oh God.
But
That's
Lyme's
crazy.
disease, I know a bunch of people with Lyme's disease. And
Oh, really?
that's like right now,
So
basically.
ticks are so ticks are a big problem out there. You
yeah,
gotta
I
consider
mean, it's
that.
a problem if you don't know they're there. Basically,
Yeah.
I like.
Do you roll your socks up a certain way to prevent? I heard like if you like roll your socks down.
My problem is I'm always like running around my flip flops, like having to run out and deal with a dog problem, or like my animals get
Dogs,
out and
get it.
I got to just run out into the field real
Yeah.
quick. You know, nowadays once you're dealing with it for a while, you're used to it. You know, like
Yeah.
I do not put myself in ticky situations. The chiggers are fucked up. Like they're just in the grass and they'll bite you and it'll itch for 2 weeks and there's no
Is that a different
diseases
thing than a
associated with it.
Tick, a jigger.
Yeah, you don't even see them. They're like
Oh.
tiny, and
Whoa.
they like embed some acid in your skin and it's gonna itch for like 2 weeks. And
Damn.
so basically,
I like
I've
being
learned,
up high. That was a real selling point when I was deciding to move to Colorado about the bug situation, because it's very dry and up high. There's like not too many. There's black widows and there's like big giant wolf spiders.
Wolf spiders are great.
And I thought,
I
yeah,
don't know about wheels, but still,
but
spiders you see,
no mosquitoes really. Like,
that's tight.
yeah,
We're lucky at my house and not mosquitoes, but yeah, bugs are huge, dude. If I knew about these tigers and trays, I don't know. Them and the tornadoes make
Yeah, I was gonna
Arkansas
say,
like,
and
maybe not the forever spot, you know. But so far, our tornado hasn't come that close to us, but they've hit
have you
close enough.
experienced some crazy weather there?
You get big wind, you know,
Yeah.
some big hail.
Have you seen a tornado?
No. I think it's pretty rare to see one. Like,
Oh, really?
it's not like the movies where they're like,
It's
you
everywhere.
see it going. I think when there's a tornado happening, it's pretty hard to see anything, But,
Unless you're,
in
somewhat
Oklahoma,
far away.
yeah, I mean, we're in mountains, so it's like a little different terrain than Tornado Alley where you got big flatlands and
Less likely to form, probably.
the flatlands are where they form.
Totally.
And like you'll see that shit because there's nothing in the way. There's no mountain. There's nothing. No trees even. You go to
okay.
you go out in Oklahoma. There's no trees for miles. Like it's just flat land.
Really?
Once you get out of Tulsa, Eastern Oklahoma is beautiful. What?
Yeah.
It's cool living down there. Like getting to explore Oklahoma and Texas and Missouri. Like it's an area I never thought I'd live in. But Eastern Oklahoma, you got. You got a lot of Native American culture there.
Oh.
Probably all of Oklahoma, you got that, but
Yeah.
it's you got like it's just thriving there. You can feel it, and
Oh, cool.
it's just a beautiful area too. Nice rivers and the nature. It's abundant,
Nice.
But then, like I said, you get past Tulsa and it gets a little flat, and you get you got Texas there, pretty flat, so you get pretty far down,
Yeah.
But
Sounds cool.
this place here is pretty special,
I like Evergreen's nice too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
What do you love most about glass?
probably my relationship with it. Like I feel connected with it. I talk to it. It's like I see it and it's like part of me. Like you see a cup. We look at glass different, right? Like I said, I feel like I have a spiritual connection with the glass gods. It's like
Totally.
so. It's like I'm tingling talking about it. So like for me, like it's a whole embodiment of the spirit of glass in my spirit that's happened working with glass so long. So that's a special thing
that connection to it.
that just can't. I never even thought about it really, but like that's really like you can't fucking buy
I
that.
think you could have that with like watercolors, that kind of connection.
Fuck yeah,
Kid, maybe
painting in general. Like
Painting.
a painter, I can't speak for the painter, but like working with a medium, that you see in everyday life. You buy it in the supermarket. It's like you always who'd buy plastic over glass. Like it's in all our windows and
absolutely.
handmade glass like this. It's like
I made these way back in the day.
I was wondering. It's simple.
I would take the
but
ends of my moils and I would just twist them up. Like after I crack a piece off, and I'd have that little bit. I'll just like pull it off and then gather and blow it out thin on the end.
That's where you started with the hot shop.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I went to school for it. That's where I met Kyle. And we
You were a hot shop.
we were hot shop partners.
Shop. Shit could go down.
Yeah. Hot shop lookups. Lots of those.
The hot shop's a pretty cool environment, man. I'll be a torch worker. It's awesome. But like when you're in the hot shop in like a bustling little space, I used to work at Wheaton Village a little bit.
Oh, cool.
Like when that shit was bumping, like the fucking fires are going. Yeah, it goes late and people are drinking.
Oh, yeah.
Good time around that hot shop.
How about Vegas? When's the last time you've been to Vegas? Did you go to Champs this year?
No.
I saw you there a couple of years ago, I think, probably. Glass Vegas.
Is that probably
maybe?
one of his last Glass Vegases? But for a while I've been kind of self-sustaining on my own orders and stuff, and it's not kind of unfortunate now because the events aren't happening, and I'd love to go round up some orders. But from what I heard, some of these shows aren't. I think I would do probably pretty good at them, but like it's not necessarily where you want to plot your career around at this point.
Yeah.
So right now I've been just thinking. I mean, there's certain shops that I deal with that have been like very consistent that I definitely like treasure our connections with. One of the ones in Fayetteville, the Glass Station, like ever since I moved there, he's been a very supportive person. He moves to glass and he's doing great down in the South, he just sells more water pipes than I've seen anyone.
Cool.
Bongs, But anyway, just trying to like get my own, figuring out how to market better, but like for a long time, I've been kind of like selling my own glass,
Through stores? Or
through stores and through myself,
Yeah.
But like, I feel like I'm not as connected with the scene after doing that for so long. A lot of the stores that I've dealt with aren't really buying much right now, and I'm by myself in my shop, so I'm not sure what exactly. That's the best reason to go to Vegas is to tap back into the scene. If you're like just to you bring your thing to the table and like see what
if
the
you
heartbeat of the
contacts,
community.
you meet some new people.
Yeah, these scenes are good. It's like there's like a pulse in our community that you can feel at these events, and as much as like I kind of stopped going when I didn't need them to make sales, like a lot of people need them.
They're a useful tool.
But if people aren't buying the glass, the heartbeat doesn't really work, So it's like these events got really big, and I don't know what the budget for Glass Vegas was, but like I don't understand why there can't be more down home thing. But I don't know if shops aren't buying the glass right now, which is the feeling I'm kind of getting.
Yeah.
Some shops are doing well and doing shows really well and promoting the glass well. Like a lot of the older shops that have been in it for a long time, like, if I can make a list, like Ruzy comes to mind, that guy. Always bringing more to the table, But, taking things into our own hands, all artists do it, it's like, you got to you've done it for a long time. We market ourselves, Anytime I've worked with a shop, I feel like it doesn't work unless I'm like showing them how they need to represent me, a lot of times, like, so now it's like, I just need to represent myself. I love working with shops, and that's like kind of been my bread and butter for a long time. But now, if you're selling your own work on a retail rate, theoretically, you can make a little less and spend more time on your marketing or merch stuff or whatever your vision is. There's other ways,
Yeah.
I bought a property to make money with,
Totally.
I don't think I'm going to make money with
investment.
it. Glass seems to be the best way I've made money so far. I'm sticking with it,
So what are you working on? You got this piece going down with WJC right now?
Yes, sir.
That's pretty sick.
Little custom John. Yeah.
Nice.
We've talked about making a piece for a while. And I've worked up. I come up here every couple of years, and it's a kind of place, a little recharge, Yeah. Go over there and hear Elbows in Town. Saw Nate yesterday. A lot of the old friends,
Fuck yeah.
WJC's a gangster. I'm really excited about the piece. The dude that put the order in is fucking awesome, You can't say enough about a collector that like commissions a piece like that. And makes I wouldn't be here if that didn't happen, Now we're gonna make a piece while I'm here. And,
Awesome.
So that dude Dakota, fucking that made it happen,
Shout out Dakota.
He's got faith, Yeah,
Sweet.
so that's gonna be tight.
Can't wait to see that.
It will be a heater.
Well, dude, I think we did pretty good. And, man, I want to say you're looking great.
Likewise,
Really
man.
happy for you out there. God,
Likewise.
thank you.
You always been a cornerstone.
Well,
This thing's
appreciate
dope, dude.
that. Yeah, this is my.
Big vision, dude. You get to look around. There's a lot goes into this. What do we got?
Any plans this summer? Any new farm animals you're going to be purchasing? What's the next one on the list?
We're going to an exotic animal auction.
Are you
next month.
really?
Yeah. So
Exotic.
apparently they have everything from like llamas to zebras. Not that I want to buy a zebra.
Where's that? In
farm.
Arkansas?
Yeah, it's right down the road. So
Right on.
I kind of want a horse, ride around. I want a horse that's broke that I could ride around, But as far as plans, I'm in the moment, I make a piece.
I hate having plans that are too far away. And then you got to like plan your whole life around them.
It's true.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm not going to lie. I made a couple plans this year for like the last couple early drops of the year, and they kind of fell through. And I had to modify my plans. So
I
right
like
now,
spontaneous shit.
I'm rolling with
go
them, man.
flow. Yeah.
I feel like it's worked. It's kind of what got us really like to where we wanted to be in life,
Yeah.
It's hard to
you can
be-
kind of go with your intuition and see, you're not super committed. And I if I have something booked more than like a couple months out, it's like, am I going to get sick? Or I got to do this. It's like kind of stressful for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We should try to schedule a little bit, but
Yep.
if you want to live in the moment, But it's been working for me, just making, a couple pieces in a week or two, and like putting
That
them up
sounds
on the
nice.
Instagram or
Nice pace.
it's a good pace, and then doing other shit on the side. But if I'm making 2 pieces a week, I'm pretty fucking stoked.
Yeah.
Like in the lamp realm, that's yeah, man, just slow and steady and trying to put everything into every piece. So like I get stressed out when I start thinking like, what am I going to do next year? It's like, But if I'm in the moment, just
Living in the moment.
yeah, I got tons of cool colors on my bench. Like I just go in there. You might sit there for like 20 minutes to think of what to do, an hour sometimes. Sometimes I got to leave and come back.
That's part of the job, dude. Thinking about it.
That's one thing I've realized too. Don't be ashamed when you're just like sitting there not sure what to do.
Yeah, you're working it out.
Yeah. You're about to commit to something. It's going to take a couple days.
Do you draw in your sketchbook at all? Or
Sometimes,
yeah.
usually if I'm dealing with like patterns and color techniques, I'm thinking more like what kind of clear to color ratios I got to deal with than like what, you know.
More honest. Yeah.
Yeah, but when I'm making, I did it like a class and we made a couple. I wanted to just figure out what to do, something different. I didn't want to make lamps. So I just like sketched up a bunch of random designs and made them, you know. So if I'm making like a new tube, you know, I'll draw it first. But if I'm making a lamp, I don't have to draw anything, you know. It's like really like, it's more into this little piece of color this big that I'm trying to think like how I can make it cooler, you know.
Totally.
I don't have to wash out the colors so much or, you know, burn the color, you know.
Yeah. The shape's done, programmed into you.
I love making everything, man.
Yeah.
That's the great thing about what we do, man. We can literally like make anything, any shape is pretty.
Yeah, think about it. If you can draw it or think about it, you can make it out of glass. Mostly.
So it's like, who knows? I think we're all going to go different paths. You know, we're all going to, there's a lot of people talking about lighting, you know, and like I'm the house I'm working on. Like I got some ideas for putting some little light installations and
cool
LEDs now. Like you do some really cool shit. So
yeah,
I think basically like the way we got here, we just got to keep like wanting to keep it fresh. And like for me, it's like I want to do different things in my life, you know. So
yeah,
like it's like
that's fun.
Yeah,
balance, man.
Yeah, it's like just you got to change it, man. There's a lot of things to do, you know. And I like being a useful person in different ways, you know. You know, in the glass shop, you have to be glass shop. You got to know how to use a wrench, you know. You got to know how to use a drill and shit. But like now, I can use saws, and you know, if you're gonna do some big installation shit, you got to know how to use a saw, and like you got to know how to build a wall, maybe even, you know, to like think about how to light it up right.
And
you know?
the farming, I'm sure, is like a lot of skill sets too, right?
Yeah,
feeding those animals and
constantly upkeep and building. Like I'm just like handier with like making shit, you know.
That's awesome.
But yeah, and that definitely helped with my glass too, like just working with saws and drills and wood, and fucking like that kind of environment, you know. And then going back into your glass shop and being like, oh shit, like I feel different just from working on a chicken coop for a week. Like I just built this whole thing, and like it builds your whole like inner core of capability.
Yeah, overall skill set, dude. Totally.
Yeah,
it's good skills to have.
But, yeah, you got to Arkansas, man. You definitely come from California. I felt kind of useless, man. People out there know how to do shit.
Yeah,
so I had to learn how to do some shit.
Wow.
I used to have a homie that just
you
do all
mean
my
people
shit.
in Arkansas know how to do shit?
Yeah, they do. I mean, I found I can't really
more
call
handy
on
than the people in Northern California.
Yeah, man.
More self-sufficient, maybe.
They definitely know how to get her done.
What about, all right, man, well, how about the last question? If you could smoke a joint with anybody, living or dead, no family members, who would it be? Robert
Johnson's the first guy that came to my mind.
Who's that?
He's like the guy that sort of like, I don't know. He's like one of the creators of the blues down in the Mississippi Delta. You know, there was he was like so good at that time that there was like a whole mystique about him that he was the guy that went down to the crossroads and sold himself to the devil to get these epic guitar skills.
Oh, no way.
And like, then he died, like, I think a mysterious death.
Kind of like the Godfather of blues.
Yeah. In terms of like a wretched, real blues spirit. And even, you got to listen to some Robert Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did
he's pretty cool.
What time is he
I think
from?
It was the 20s.
20s?
He was like some of the earliest recordings. So his recordings are really rough around the edges. That dude would be pretty cool to smoke a joint with. But yeah, man, there's a lot of people you can smoke some joints with. It's good to smoke these joints with you, SA. This is great.
Thank you, man.
That's for much better.
Yeah, it's nice. Nice to see you. Nice to work out with you today.
Yeah. Feeling powerful.
We did an hour and a half.
Wasn't that long?
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was awesome. What's your so Bluegrass Man on Instagram?
Bluegrass Glass.
Bluegrass Glass on
Yeah.
Instagram. Do you have a website too?
I got bluegrassglass.com.
Okay.
I just put it up. I don't have much up there yet, but you know,
Yeah.
it's good. I'm getting it going. You know, I
Awesome.
got to figure out what's put up there. You know, but yeah, man, reach out. Anyone that wants a fucking
Custom
piece from
wonder
me?
lamp. Anything?
Yeah, a bomb.
Tubes?
I made urns.
Urns?
Not really my thing.
Oh yeah, they're
but-
kind of that shape a little bit.
I mean, like we were saying, we can shape anything. Man. I just like making shit that people want.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but
Me too. I've been doing a lot of customs these days, and it's fun. It's a challenge. Like I got to make Sully right now
Sully.
from Monsters Inc. It's this blue monster, so I bought some it's that blue monster that's right over there.
Shit.
So I'm gonna.
That's out of the comfort zone.
It's out of the comfort zone, but it's kind of in the wheelhouse. But it'll be. I got to do that. And I have to make a lion too coming up here soon.
Someone commissioned you to do that.
Yeah.
Damn, they got
Yeah.
faith. They're like,
Oh.
they have a vision of
From the
your
UK,
vision. They have a vision that you can do it.
Yeah. And I made him an elk too.
It's funny when people like kind of see what you.
They're like,
how
I want
they
you
see
to
what
make
can do,
this.
yeah.
All right. Kind of. It's gonna be some thought. Like it's a new. That head attachment. I'm kind of thinking about such a wide neck, but I'll figure it out. I gotta put some. That's my next thing I gotta focus on after our little mini lamp. But yeah, dude, I want to thank you for coming on, dude. That was really awesome. Appreciate
having me.
you. Yeah.
Definitely.
Well,
Thanks for anyone listening.
Thank you guys out there. Check.
That was an interesting.
Make sure you're following Ari on Instagram, and we'll see you next time.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for tuning in to the Robertson Stash Podcast. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you want to support us, please hit the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, we want to hear from you. So if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to reach out. Hit the website, hit the link. We'll see you next time.